now we covered how to install Jupyter Notebook, and basically we talk about the basic formatting related to Jupyter Notebook. And with that knowledge, you can start writing your own reports. Okay, so now you know how to do the formatting. Now let's move to the next one, working with Python libraries. Now, let me move to this one. So when it comes to Python libraries, now during our session, you work with R packages. When it comes to Python, we call them as libraries. And Tianga introduced these R packages. You can think it as a mobile app, right? You have, when it comes to your mobile phone, you have different apps for different purposes. In the same way, when it comes to Python, we have libraries, and these libraries have been developed for different purposes. We have libraries to work with data frames. Pandas is one such library. We have graphic libraries called Matplotlib, Seaborn, and we have data libraries. And this is Palmer Penguin is one such library. So likewise, people have developed different libraries for different purposes. And now, in order to get access, sometimes these libraries there are libraries that comes with the default installation. But sometimes you need to install these libraries, just like a mobile phone app. With your original, whenever you purchase a smartphone, in your smartphone, you can see some apps. But if you want to get some advanced apps, sometimes you have to install it to your smartphone. So the same thing happens with libraries. Now in R, you have packages. In Python, we call them as libraries. That's one big difference. Okay, now let's first, in order to get access to the functionalities available inside these libraries, you have to install the library. So let's see how to install a library. So here, to install libraries, we can use the pip command on the command line console of the operating system. Just like we did it in our previous sessions, we can use the command line to install the libraries. But in Jupyter Notebook, you have another option. In Jupyter Notebook, the console commands, these console commands can be executed using this exclamation mark. If you can run these console commands inside the Jupyter Notebook by including an exclamation mark inside the command. Now, it is recommended to use sys library. So this is the sys library in Python, which will return the path of the current version's pip on which the Jupyter Notebook is running. So here's the idea. Now, so first let me show you how to do this one. So here what you need in order to install a library inside the Jupyter Notebook, you can use this format. First, you need to import the sys library. And using the sys library, you can install the other packages or libraries. So you have exclamation mark sys executable minus mpip install. So that's part should be there. And you can replace that one from the library name. And now here, the reason that for me to recommend using sys library to install Python packages inside Jupyter Notebook is this. Here I have mentioned it. This will return the path of the current version's pip on which the Jupyter Notebook is running. Here the meaning is, when it comes to a Jupyter Notebook, you can have multiple Python installations or environment on your system. For example, Anaconda distribution, or you can have, if you are familiar with these terms, Docker containers. If you are a developer, you must be familiar with this. But just think that when you work with Jupyter Notebook, you can have multiple Python installations or environments on your system. Now, when you use the advantage of using this sys libraries, this allows you to work with when you use this sys library, this sys executable, in the context of installing a library, then it returns to the specific Python executable that Jupyter Notebook is currently running. And by following this method, it ensures that the library that you want to install is installed into the Python environment associated with your current Jupyter node. Otherwise, it will sometimes find some difficulties if you have multiple environments installed to your computer. So basically, by using this sys library to install the packages, it allows you to avoid any confusions or potential conflicts if you have multiple Python installations in your system. So by the above code, the packages will be installed in the same Python version on which the Jupyter Notebook is run. So that's one thing that you can remember. Okay, so now for this work, for the today's session, I need these libraries. So here, this is the format that you can use in order to install the libraries. Here I have at the moment, I have commented those things, but let me come to the original code. So basically, not this one. Okay, I don't have the original code, but that's fine. So here, now, if you can remember, when it comes to R, you had packages. And first you had to install the package. And then after that, once you install it, you can use it to get the functionalities available in that package. But when it comes to installation, you have to install the package to your current Jupyter Notebook only once. Then after that, you don't have to install it all the time you use that package, right? The installation is done only once. It's very similar to a mobile app. Now, in your mobile phone, you have multiple apps. Now, you install it only once. If you have you reinstall it only if you get an updated version of that app. You don't install the same package, same app again and again whenever you want to use it. So the same thing happens with the package, right? So now here, in order to install a package, you have to remove these hashtags. So this is just a comment. In order to install it, you just need to just remove these hashtags. If you don't have these packages, then you have to first install it. So import sys, first you need to run that one. So please remove this hashtag in front of all these things in order to install. The reason for me to commit, I have committed these lines because I have now installed it once. I don't want to install it again and again. Right? You can also do the same thing. Just insert this one to your code and you can just run it only once and then you can comment it so that you can see what you have done. Okay, so you have import sys, and then I need these 4 libraries for my work, today's work. So you can have, I'm going to use pandas, Palmer penguins, matplotlib, and seaborn Python packages. So these commands allows you to install these packages to your current Jupyter environment. And again, I'm repeating, this you need to do only once. And after you install that package, now this is very similar. Install packages. In R, you had install packages. In R, if you come to this one, under packages, you install it. Let's say you want in R, you had install packages, right? For example, in R, you had install packages. Now, instead of install packages in Python, what you have is this, -pip install pandas. So this is very similar to install packages in R. And during Tianga's session, she mentioned that you have to do it only once. Okay, after you install a package, then in order to use that one, you have to use library. Let's say ggplot2. You have to use this command in order to get access to the functionalities available inside that package. Now, the equivalent step in Python is import the package name. So importing, here we call installing a package, and the next one, the loading part, we call it as importing a package. So once a library is installed, import it into your application by adding the import module statement. I hope you can understand the difference. Okay, so now you have installed the package. After the library is installed, you need to import it in each script or notebook whenever you want to use its functionalities. Okay, so now there are different ways of importing packages. Sometimes if you go and refer certain notebooks or certain blog posts, you will see different ways of importing these packages and you will find a little bit confusing. So let's see all these different options that you have in order to import a package. Okay, so this is the basic format. Just like now in R, we had library jplot. In the same way, when it comes to Python, we have import the package name. Now typing package name function in your code can be, now here, the problem with this one is, now this is the basic thing, you import the library name. But sometimes there are packages with long names, just like this Palmer penguin. Now, in order to use, and here matplotlib, it's a long name. Now, in order to use a function, this is the format that you need to use. Matplotlib function name, dot function name. I'll come to this dot part later. So this is how you can use a function inside this package. You have package name dot the function name. Now imagine you have a package name with a very long name. Then every time you want to use functions available in that package, you have to type that one package, which is a little bit difficult. Now, in order to avoid that one, what you can do is you can give a nickname to this package name. So this part, it's like now you must, if you have gone through some previous work blog post, you must have seen import package name as this. For example, now there's a library called pandas. This is to work with data frames. Import pandas, that is the basic syntax, and you have this part as PD. Basically, this part gives you a nickname to this package. It's like you give a nickname to one of your friends. And after you assign a nickname to your friend, you are not going to call that person using the original name. You are going to call him using the nickname. So here you do a similar thing. Here, import pandas as PD. Okay, so now here, import packages as PKG, whatever the nickname. And then after you assign a nickname, now in order to get access to the functionalities inside that package, you can use the nickname dot the function name. Okay, so let me show you this. So basically import pandas as PD. And whenever you want to use a function available, now inside this pandas package, now for the pandas package, I have given the nickname PD. Inside this pandas package, there's a function called CSV. Pandas libraries to work with data sets, data frames. So here PD, so that's the nickname dot, inside that you have a function called read CSV. Now you can get access to that. So that's the first part, import packages. And there's another way to get access to a function available in a package. The second thing is from package, import this function. Now here the second option is instead of loading the entire package, you can just import only a function that you need inside that package. So here what happens is from this, you ask it to, from this package, there's first you select the package, from this package, import this function. And that's what I have done here. Now there's a package called matplotlib. We will heavily use during our data visualization session. So from this package, now this is the package name, import only this function. And then after import that function, I'm going to give a nickname as PLT. And then I'm going to use only that function available inside that package. So here to use now, let's say if you have another function inside, if you want another function inside this package, now the problem with this one is if you have another function inside this package that you want to use inside your code, you have to import it separate. Now, it's very similar to a situation like this. Now, imagine it's very similar to a situation like this. Okay. So, okay. So now I told you there are two ways of importing a package. Okay. The first one is you can import package name. Now this format. Okay. I'll explain this part because this part is very, very important for you to understand the remaining parts. So here, so the first one is you here import package. If you call it like that, here what you do is you import all the functionalities available inside this package. So it's like, imagine you want to do a task, and imagine once you go to the shop, you can see a toolbox which contains different tools. So let's say you have a scissor, you have a measuring tape, you have a ruler, and let's say you have a hammer. So now let's say you've got a toolbox. Now import per package name. Let's say this is your package PKG. Now import package name means you purchase this whole toolbox, the entire toolbox. Then whenever you want, if you want to use a scissor, you can open your toolbox and get the scissor and do it. If you want a measuring tape, you can, whenever you want to use it, now you have purchased the entire toolbox. So just get the measuring tape and do the task. So impaired package means it's very similar to you purchase the entire toolbox. The second one is from package import full. Now here, this is similar to a situation where you go to the shop and you only purchase, you find the entire package is very expensive. So you only need to cut certain papers at the moment. So what you do is instead of purchasing the entire toolbox, you only purchase the scissor and you go home. Now you have come back. So now you only have purchased the scissor. So this allows you to do your job. The only thing that you can do now is cutting. But let's say when you start doing your activity, then you realize, okay, you need to have a measuring tape. Now, if you have purchased the entire toolbox, you don't have to worry about it because you can just open your toolbox and you can get the measurements. But if you follow this one, what happens is now again you need to go back to the shop and you need to purchase a measuring tape and you need to come back. So from this toolbox, previously I purchased a scissor. If you want to get a measuring tape, again, you need to add a line from this toolbox, import a measuring tape. So that's the problem with this one. So you have two options. Depending on the situation, you can reselect a required option. If you feel like you need lots of functionalities available inside that package, you can import the entire package. But just like in this situation, if you feel like, okay, you need only one function available in that package, you can just get that function. You can just load that particular function to your Python environment instead of loading it with several unnecessary packages. Okay, but this comes with some limitations. Then the problem is if you need another function inside this toolbox, you need to go and load it separate. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, so now you know the difference. So depending on the thing that you want to do, you can either import the entire package or you can just get one functionality at the time and do it. So now let's see some actual examples. So now you know the format. So during today's session, I'm going to use these packages. So this is how you can do it. Okay. Now let's see some examples. So now there are four packages that I'm going to use for this particular session. So now first I'm going to load the pandas package. So this pandas package is for managing datasets. I told you, consider these Python packages as mobile apps. You have WhatsApp that allows you to communicate with your friends, that allows you to share your documents, send messages. But if you want to take a photograph, then you need a different app, your camera app. If you want to join the Zoom session using your mobile phone, then you need a separate app for that, Zoom app. So likewise, now this pandas library is to manage datasets. And now I import pandas. Now typing all these 6 letters is a little bit difficult for me, so I'm going to assign a nickname to that as PD. Now here these are some standard nicknames or short names that they use for these libraries. You can give any name depending on your preference. But the reason for us to use these standard short names is, imagine you are going to share this you are going to share a document with your team members, and let's say you are working on a collaborative project, and different developers or data scientists will include certain things to this particular Jupyter notebook. Then if you follow the standards, the normal practice, then it will not make any confusions at different locations of your document. So that's why I have used the standard short names here. So the next thing is, now here I have used the first format tool. That means I have import the entire library. So I have purchased the entire toolbox. The next one, I'm going to use matplotlib. This allows you to do some additional customization to your Seaborn package, Seaborn graphs. So I'm going to import that one. But inside this package, I don't want to use all the functionalities available inside this package. I only need the pyplot function available inside this package. This is like your entire toolbox. This is the scissor. So from this toolbox, import the scissor. From matplotlib, import the scissor. So this part now allows me to purchase only the scissor or the pyplot function. But again, typing the entire pyplot, matplotlib.pyplot, instead of that, I'm going to assign a nickname for that, plot plt. Basically, it's like this. Now here, an alternative way to do is import inside this under matplotlib package. There's a function called pyplot. So inside the package dot function pyplot, I import it, but typing this whole thing is a little bit difficult for me. I'm going to leave a short name here. Now it is generally customary to use import matplotlib.pyplt as plt. Right? You can go and refer the matplotlib documentation for further details. Okay, so I import a package here, entire toolbox. I import just one tool from this package. And the next one I want for today's session is the Seaborn library. So import Seaborn. This is for the plotting and styling. It allows you to get some advanced features for plotting. So import Seaborn as SNS. So this is again the standard short name that people use. So here I have given you this. We gave each of our imported libraries an alias. We call this as an alias. Basically, it's a nickname. And we invoke pandas with PD, matplotlib with PLT, and Seaborn with SNS. So now you have imported your libraries to your current work Jupyter notebook. And now we are ready to use the functionalities inside these toolbox. And we are going to use these functionalities available inside these two libraries. Any questions up to this point? Okay. So now let's see how to, I just don't worry about these things. Okay, now here, no. Now I'm going to try it. Now you know how to install a library. This is very similar to the thing that you used in your Python, in your R session, you use install.packages. Under this, you use install. And in R, you use library, the package name to load the library. Here, we just use it as import cbon, import live package name. Okay, now let's see how we completed installing a Python library and loading a Python library. Now let's see how to import a data set to this Jupyter Notebook environment. So for that, I'm going to use the function available in the pandas package. I told you pandas package is to work with data sets, data frames. So here I'm going to import an external file called Titanic CSV to this Jupyter Notebook environment. Now, tomorrow you have a case study. There also you need to, we are going to share a CSV file and you need to load that to the Jupyter Notebook. So this is how you can do it. So I'm going to use pd dot inside this pandas library. There's a function called read CSV. And then within the double quotation marks, you pass the Python, the location or the path of your file. So for that, now here I have given it as data Titanic. Now I first, basically, I'm referring to a folder called a CSV file inside a folder called data. So if you go to this one, now here I cannot see, I haven't loaded my data file to this environment, to this Jupyter dashboard. So what you can do is, in order to get that file to this Jupyter dashboard, this is what you can do is, I'm going to save all my data files inside the folder called data. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, you go to new, and first I create a folder to save my data files. So if you go to this one, let's say here, folder. Sorry. Okay, sorry, it has included two folders, so you can delete for the folders like this. So now here, when you go new file folder, it will insert a new folder. Let me first call it as, I'm going to rename it as data. I'm going to save all my data files inside this folder, data. Okay, so now I have a folder called data. First, I want to load my data file, CSV file inside to this folder, inside to this Jupyter dashboard. So data, now you can easily upload a file, a data set to this folder. Either you can use this upload button, or else you can just select your data set. So I have this data set on my desktop. I want to put that here, just drag and drop it. Oh, not that one. So just drag and drop it here. Now it will then give you this upload. Just click upload. Now I have my Python notebook here. Inside I created a data folder, and inside that I have Titan. So again, if I show you, now I have my Jupyter notebook, this Python getting started notebook. Inside the same folder, I have a folder called data. Inside that, I have my file. And now this is how you can load it. So in order to load this one, okay, in order to load that file, what you need to do is, now I'm going to use this read CSV function available in the pandas package. pd.read.csv. Inside this data folder, I want to load this Titanic CSV. And once you get that one, you save that to once you load that one, you save that to an object called df. And now I have loaded my CSV file. Now, if you want to see display the first 5 observations of this data set, you just need to go use df.head. So it will give you the first few rows of your data frame. And if you want to get some descriptive statistics of these different variables, now inside this df object, I have a variable called age, describe. Now it gives me all the summary statistics. And if you want to learn more about this df describe, this package, this function, if you want to get the help page, you can just run help df describe. It will open the help page of that one. For example, if you just go to working with Python, so here, this is my Python library. Now, another thing is, in order to run the entire cell, you can use cell run all. It will run in the entire Python notebook. And here, if you want to get, so here, in order to run this one at the moment in my document, I have just given it like this. I've commented it. If you want to see the help page of this describe function, just go to help, df describe. It will bring you to the help page of that package. In R, you have this help page here. In the same way, you can get access to the help page of any function using this. We'll give you all the details related to that package. And here you can see some examples at the end of that help page. Okay, so now, so that's how you can import a file to the Jupyter Notebook environment. And then after that, you can easily get access to these functions available in those packages. Okay, now in all these commands, you must have seen a dot. I use a dot quite frequently. In all these commands, here also you can see. Now in R, in order to refer certain things inside an object, you use package name .foo. This is the function. This function inside this package. And when it comes to this one, this function inside the pandas package. In order to indicate that one, I use this dot. Here, now once you have the data frame, inside this data frame, I want to use this head, df, inside this object, df. Okay, let's come to this one. Inside this df, I have a variable called age. So I referred it as df.age. So the dot in Python, it is a very important operator in Python. So in Python, this dot is primarily used as a separator to access the attributes and methods of an object. And this notation, we call it as dot notation or dot operator. You will use it quite frequently. So you need to know the role played by this dot. Even though it's a very small part of your code, it plays a bigger role in your code. So when you have an object such as a variable or an instance of a class, you can use the dot notation to get access to its attributes or methods. For example, inside the df data frame, I have the variable age. So df.age. You can go inside to that object if it is a variable. For example, if you have the data frame called my df, now at the moment my data frame name is df, you can use dot notation to access to its various methods, attributes, or variables. For instance, and another thing is, and then you can see the head. I first load my data frame using the read CSV inside this pandas, and I save that to an object called df. And now in order to see the head, the first few rows of that one, you can refer it as df.head. Likewise, df.head gives you the first few rows of the data frame. If you go df shape, It allows you to update the dimensions of the data frame, the number of columns and number of rows. If you want to see the column names, df columns will allow you to see the column names. So likewise, the dot allows you to go inside that one and retrieve, get some attributes inside that. So this dot operator allows you to specify the data frame on which you want to perform action or retrieve values. And that allows you to manipulate. Not only that, not only with these data frames and packages, even with these data frames and variables, even with these packages, you saw this dot. For example, matplotlib.pyplot. Inside the matplotlib library, I have a function called pyplot. So now, working with packages, when you work with packages also, you can use the dot operator to get access to the functions available in the package. So similarly, when you work with modules or packages, you can use the dot notation to access the objects defined within them. For instance, if you have a module named as mat, if you want to use the square root function inside the mat module, so this is your Python library. Inside that, you have the square root function. So mat dot the function. So likewise, overall, the dot in the Python is a crucial component of the language's syntax for accessing attributes, methods, and objects within modules, classes, and instances. Now, it helps organize and navigate the structure of the Python program and allows you to work with the properties and behavior associated with different objects. I hope you understood it clearly, the role played by this little part, dot. And I want to talk about another important thing. Now here you can see, I use this function. If you just focus on this side, inside package library, there's a function called read CSV. So package, inside that read CSV, using that I load it. And then I assign that to an object called df. And then when you come to this one, df is just the data frame. But then I refer using that one, I said head. Actually, head is a function available inside the package. But I use df.head, df.h, right? Now here, this is what happened. By now, the reason for you to get access to functions available in Python, in this pandas package through this df is this. Now here, by assigning the result of this, on the right-hand side, you have pd.readCSV. So basically, this part is the one that loads this Titanic. And now you assign that to an object called df. Then you create a data frame object that holds the data from the CSV file. And then when you do it that way, this data frame object df becomes the gateway to access various pandas capabilities for data analysis and manipulation. So it's like this. Now, if I annotate it, if I just write it, now here, let's say you have a train. Let's say, you have a train. And let's say you have the engine. Now, this CSV file, this part here, this CSV file become the engine. Even without having any other compartments, you can just call this as a train. Then what you do is, using pandas library, read CSV, you load this one. So pandas, basically it's like you attach a compartment to your engine. Then this whole thing now I can call it as a train. And that's what I call it as df. Now, inside this df package, I have my original data set CSV. In addition to that, I have the functionalities inside the package, pandas package. So once you connect the compartment, the whole thing now become a df. So since this df now become, this whole thing become the gateway to access the various functionalities available inside the pandas. So that's why it allowed you to do this. Sorry, that's why it allows you to do it like this. df head is actually a function available inside the pandas package, but now you have created it using the pandas library because you have attached a pandas component to this engine. Now the whole train contains all these different things. So because of that, now df become a gateway to your pandas library. So df head. So I hope, because understanding these basic things are very important for you to read a Python code and understand what they have done. I hope now you can understand the basics. Basically, during this note, what I discussed was how to import a library. And there are two ways of doing that. One thing is you can import the entire toolbox. You can purchase the entire toolbox, import package. If you just need one tool inside the package, instead of importing the entire package, from that package, you can just purchase one function. But if you go to this option, then if you have another tool that you need to use inside this package, you need to do it again. And once you import it, then you can use the available attributes and functionalities inside those packages to work with data. And then we discuss the role played by this dot operator.